Before we move on, please be aware that our next conversation is about a government campaign to prevent violence against women. A new ad running this week aims to bring parents into the dark online world currently influencing young men. Here it is.
Women don't want you to be kind. They want you to control them.
Hey, I'm talking to you.
What do you think? I'm not good enough for you?
You're going to regret blocking me.
James, is everything all right?
Yeah, it's nothing.
You're definitely all right.
Yeah.
Do you know what's influencing your kids? Learn the hidden trends of disrespect before they lead to violence. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Russell, what do you think of this?
There's a very unfortunate part of the ad is when this young boy gives what he's been watching the thumbs up. So that to me, I actually find it really upsetting because he's had a conversation with his father and his father wants him to tell him what's going on. His father wants to help him. And unfortunately, in the ad, the father hasn't, let's call it, won the conversation. And I just wish that in the advertising that the father did win the conversation, that the father had created a stronger relationship with his son, and as a result, his son doesn't give the content that he's been watching the thumbs up, he gives it the thumbs down. And I think as a result, you're going to create the opportunity for dads and their sons to have those conversations because in the ad, it was a winning conversation as opposed to the execution where it's a losing conversation.
Yeah, I think there's two challenges in this, and one of them is exactly that of going, you're playing with two audiences here, right? You've got the parents who are clearly the primary audience that you're trying to talk to, and you've got the secondary audience of the kids. So you're trying to create a piece that's not going to alienate the kids that are watching this, but are going to get some sort of awareness to the parents. But also from an effectiveness perspective, this is an awareness piece. We're not going to see the impact of it because it's for young kids just yet. So you're almost investing in how is this going to impact someone in the longer term. So I think the challenges come in the way of it a little bit because clearly somebody made a call on that decision exactly. I'm sure there was people sitting around the table going, you know, is it a thumbs up or do we even leave it open? Yeah. And somebody said, no, we need to show the reality of it to scare the parents, to almost go, they are saying a thumbs up at the end. That was a decision that was made.
You know, this is fraught as a space and, you know, even on a personal level as a mum to a 10-year-old, it can feel confronting. When it comes to behaviour change, it can feel quite formulaic because there is real science behind it, and as a result, there can often be a lot of rules around how you execute, and that can affect the storytelling. For me, sometimes I think it sands the edges off and makes the communication perhaps less potent. It does feel like kind of house-style government advertising, which I think allows me to tune off.
Money matters. Money matters, of course, Will. So there's $21.6 million being spent on this campaign. So the money actually is a signal on, you know, how important the government thinks this is. Now, that's not bad money, but you would really want it to be a lot more than that. You want it to be more like 60 million because weight of effort really is going to change the outcome.
Because it's addressing a real problem.
Yeah.
Like, this is the one thing we do know. We're seeing teachers report that it's harder to control their classes because of the influence of people like Andrew Tate and people like him are having on young men in these. So this is a real issue.
Yes, that's right.
And you cannot put the responsibility. It is unfair to take the responsibility off of multi-billion-dollar organisations that reap our data, sell us plenty of advertising and make tons of money from us. Take the responsibility off of them and say, actually, Mum and Dad, it's your responsibility. And I think the government is trying to bridge that gap. And I'm not saying they should do nothing because we're looking at that ad in isolation. And in isolation, that ad will do nothing. It's convoluted. It's slightly confusing. 30 seconds on air, you're never going to really get the message. It doesn't do either way. It's not entertaining, nor is it sort of overly emotional. It's kind of in a fuzzy grey middle. But if it's part of a multi-tiered campaign, including regulation of social media to young kids, if it's part of all of that, then I give it a thumbs up. If our government thinks, let's just do some ads for $21 million and, you know, problem solved, well, then that is not only naive, it's stupid.
Maybe the origin story is important. You know, the origin story of when Facebook was created, I mean, it literally was ranking women. So, you know, the origin of social media, that goes right back, the seed of this thing that's been created. It's also important, I think, for us to all know that what people get fed by social media, the social media companies know what they're feeding, right? They have got the ability to determine the content that is seen by young people, old people, any of us. The notion of regulation, it is coming, you would hope. There's lots of energy around the Western world that regulation of social media is very important. Plenty of people now say, in 10 years plus, we'll look back at this time and say, oh my God, what did we do to our children? That's definitely happening right now. And the other thing is we're used to it. Like regulating content is not a new idea. You know, when I was 14, I couldn't go and see a rated R movie. So it's no different. So just use those, use the M, use the R, use the G, and that's the content that you get to see.
And we'll, of course, be clipping that bit out and putting it on our Facebook page, so please...